Good morning, Julie Hafen here from Trendy Pilots. The thing I want to talk to you guys about today is something that I was chatting with my brother about the other day, and I realized that it's probably something important for you guys to hear too, because before I became an airline pilot, I was set against never becoming an airline pilot, and it was for some few very specific reasons. When I was at Utah Valley University, I can't remember if I was going through flight training or if I was already a flight instructor, but either way, I went to Women in Aviation one year, and they have a lot, I'm sure they still do, like a lot of different courses and classes and things that you can take while you're there. And the first one that I went to was a whole panel of these airline pilot women. And as a person in the audience, you could ask them whatever question. It was an hour long, and they were just there to answer questions. So it was super helpful. But one of the questions that got asked was, are any of you currently married? Like, what's your marital status? Are you single, divorced, whatever. And every single one of the women that was married to a man, I should say, which was what my situation was, every single woman was divorced. And so I was just like, well, gosh, does the airlines make it so that the lifestyle is so hard that the divorce rate is super high? Like, if I become an airline pilot, am I going to end up being divorced? I was newly married. I do remember being newly married at this time, and I loved, and I still do, my husband. So the last thing I wanted was divorce. So I was just like, okay, well, I don't want to get divorced. So that kind of put me on the fence for becoming an airline pilot. And then I attended a course later on that week too, which was women pilots who were moms, like airline pilots who were mothers and had kids, and how they were dealing with the situation and how they handled it all. And it was like another horror story for me, because so many of these women, they had to have like nannies, and they talked about how stressful it was trying to juggle the schedules. And one of them was even mentioning how they had these nanny cams in their house, and how a lot of these nannies were not treating their children the right way, and how it was just really, really challenging. After attending those two pilot panels, I was just like, dude, I'm not going to become an airline pilot, because I don't want to get divorced. And I also don't want my kids to not have the best childhood. I don't want them to have, I want them to have the best experience as a kid. And I don't want to be leaving them with somebody that isn't good for them. So for a long time, I had decided I'm not doing it. And I became a flight instructor, and I loved it. I was able to pick my own schedule. If I wanted a day off, I could take a day off. Like, even if it was the day before, I'd just give my students some other things to go through, or I'd find them another instructor to fly with. And so for me, it was perfect. And then I started kind of getting that itch. It was when me and my husband were married. We didn't have any kids yet. And I did start getting that little bit of an itch, like maybe I should try becoming an airline pilot. But then those fears would take over, and I would just smash it to the ground and just decide, like, no, I want to stay married. I want to have happy kids. I want to raise good kids. So I'm not going to go, because that will destroy both of those things that are very important to me. And one of the faculty members, he had been a faculty member at the school I went through. He was actually doing a little, I guess you would call it like a seminar that I attended, and he was talking about the lifestyle of an airline pilot. It was about an hour long, and after watching him talk with just how much he loved it and all the places he got to travel to, which I love traveling, it really gave me the itch to become an airline pilot. But I still had these fears, these really big fears holding me back. So I remember chatting with my husband and telling him, like, I want to do it, but I'm scared. I don't want it to ruin our relationship. And my husband was super, super supportive. And I'll never forget what he said. And you guys have heard me say this before if you've been following me for a while. Is he said, you know what? Just do it. Something you want to do. You're going to regret it if you never do. Once we have kids, it's going to be a lot harder to even try it. Just give it a try. Commit to 1 year. If after 1 year you don't love it, you can quit. It's not like you're stuck in that job forever. If you don't love it, quit and go back to flight instructing, which is something you know you love. For some reason, I'd never thought of it that way. I thought it was like this ultimatum, like if I become an airline pilot, I'm going to be stuck doing it for the rest of my life. What if I don't like it? And then all these terrible negative things. It was just these fears that were taking over. And so because of the advice from my husband, I did end up becoming an airline pilot. I've been at the airlines for about 8 years. Our marriage is better than ever. We have 2 kids now, and I'm pregnant with my 3rd. And our kids are just being raised in a way that's perfect. You know, I've talked about what we've done in the past. As of right now, my husband is home with the kids, and it's just this awesome, amazing, perfect situation. So whatever your fears are for becoming an airline pilot, are they reasonable? Or is it something to where you could just go and just try it out for a year, and if it doesn't work, go back to what you were doing before or find another job. You don't have to stay there forever. I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys about that today, that it's okay if you have fears of going to the airlines, but if it is something you want to do, if it's something that you've been thinking about doing for a long time, you've got to just do it. You got to feel the fear and do it anyway and give it a try.